What's going on, everybody? Xander, Down to Business Podcast here with my friend David Waldy. If you've been watching, listening, seeing us on TikTok, Facebook, wherever, David's been a friend of the show now for several episodes, and he's going to be here every week talking about business, faith, family, personal development. David is the CEO of Fierce Empathy Solutions. Is that right?
That's right. You
Man,
got it right
I'm so
this time.
good at this. Oh my gosh. I've been practicing in the mirror. And David is a renowned speaker and consultant. So David, thanks for being here today, brother.
Thank you for having me. Wait, before we start,
Yeah.
Can't see you very clearly. I need to ask Chris for my glasses. Chris, can you pass me my glasses?
Shoot. I'm trying to grow the beard out like the dude at Blaze Pizza. Bro, he had the Rick Ross beard.
Dude, that beard was...
Did you think of that? I thought Rick Ross the first second.
It was awesome.
This
So
guy,
good.
we just went and ate at Blaze Pizza, and he had this beautiful...
Shout out to Ryan Reynolds, I think, right?
His name is Ryan Reynolds?
No, I'm pretty sure that Ryan Reynolds owns part of Blaze.
No, I thought LeBron James does.
I'm pretty sure Ryan Reynolds does too.
Well, that's
I could be wrong.
Pretty awesome owners.
So shout out LeBron.
Ryan Reynolds,
come
I know
on.
you're seeing this. Give us a gift card.
You're welcome to Jones.
Coupons available. We're ready for them. So anyways, we were eating at Blaze, and yeah, this dude had a great beer. But at Blaze, and now going in this, today's hot topic, student loans.
Yeah.
And yours truly, I had $28,521 of student loans, and I hated it. I had a full ride to school minus my meal plan. Meal plans are about $5,400. I did 5 years. I redshirted and then did 4 years. And for some reason, I didn't work through college. Like that was...
What a dummy.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Not calling you out if you're in college, but I might
dumb.
be calling you
On my
out.
part, it was super dumb. I mean, I played baseball, so that was pretty much a full-time job, but definitely could have done one night a week somewhere.
Delivering pizza, man.
Dude, $100, 52 weeks, so it's $5,200. Would have paid my student loan. But I took out student loans and didn't really understand it. I remember my mom and I were sitting at the registrar's office or financial aid, and I signed a couple papers and didn't really understand what was going on.
Signed your kidneys away.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like at 18, you can't buy alcohol, but you can sign off for $30,000 of loans or $50,000.
More than that. You can sign $300,000 to go to a prestigious school, but you
Harvard.
You can't get a $20,000 business loan.
Makes no sense. America. So anyways, so I did that. And right as I got out of college, they turned the fountain on, man, with it's paused, right, while you're in school. And I was like, I'm done with this. So in 18 months, 20 months, something like that, I paid all of it off.
Good for you.
And yeah, it was a grind. I mean, I think it was like $800 to $1,000 a month plus like one big payment. And my wife and I did not make a lot of money. And this is what's frustrating about the student loan conversation is it's usually not talked about in the context of financial. It's usually political or philosophical or psychological. Yeah. And that's what's frustrating to me. Yeah. I don't know about you, Dave. It's like, anyways.
No, it's very bothersome because a lot of times we have these things in the political space that is really, the student loan thing is just highly politicized right now. That's what everyone's talking about because of what Biden has announced and the conversations around that. But the problem is we oftentimes don't take a step back and look at all of the different ramifications. Like, what does this actually affect? And how does it affect not only our future as Americans, but who we are as individuals, especially if, having student loan debt, if you're someone who has that right now, the emotional response is like, oh, this sounds awesome. But because we're in an emotionally heightened state, right? Anytime you're in an emotionally heightened state, whether you're overjoyed or you're angry or whatever, it shuts off the part of your brain that thinks rationally.
Right.
And so when we can take a step back and start looking at this rationally, exactly what you're talking about, from a financial perspective, there are a lot of really challenging things that that people don't wrestle through and actually consider that can have very severe and negative consequences to not just you as an individual, but to our entire economic structure.
For example, if you're going to wipe away $300 billion worth of student loans that people freely took out, right? Don't you think you'd turn the faucet off entirely on, let's not give more student loans out if it's such a problem? So for anyone not understand what I'm saying is if you're going to wipe away student loan debt and it's such a good thing to help the economy, help people have more money to spend, that's one reason, right? It's supposed to help curb inflation and people have the extra money. They're not paying on their payment back into the economy, right? Yeah. Well, why are we still writing student loans then? It's just going to go right back to the same place. If you don't turn the faucet off, water is going to continue to pour out. Same problem, solution, same problem, right? And so it's not a real solution. Solutions change things. This isn't going to change anything. So that's my number one issue.
So here's another frame is that if you're a business owner, right, or even if you're not a business owner, if someone's ever owed you money, right, there is some form of expectation that, if you've got terms set up that I'm going to get this money at some point in time so I can plan accordingly for the future, right? Now, we won't get into all the nuance of how colleges and universities across the board handle their financial situation, but they're operating as a business entity. If you have all of these funds that are anticipated to come into your entity, into your business, you've been proactively making decisions for months, if not years, based on that cash flow, right?
Well, they already got the money.
They already got the money.
They already got the money. This is
I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is federally backed loans. So this is the problem: is the government is in the banking industry now,
right?
And the government is not supposed to be a banking entity. So they're federally insured student loans. They're forgiving the federally insured part of it.
Gotcha.
So it's the taxpayers. We pay money to the government, and then they use our money to give out loans, and now disappears. And that's what I'm saying is just like the stimulus checks, that money just evaporated in thin air. They're doing the same thing here and calling it something different. And now within 24 months of each other, we've got an influx of stimulus fake money that's caused inflation to go crazy that was supposed to save us. And now we've got an influx of savings called stimulus, but called something else on the student loan issue. And so, again, like I had some people, I posted last night, so do we get a refund check for the $28,000 we paid off? Now, obviously, we're not going to. That was a joke. Not a joke, but what do you call that? Sarcasm. I hate sarcasm. But I had a friend of mine acquaintance of mine comment, we should just be happy that people are not having to pay something back, not that we already paid ours off. Like I hear that. Like, but just because you're not joyful doesn't mean you're upset at them. Like, I'm not happy about the situation. Doesn't mean I'm angry at the people who got it forgiven. Yeah. But it's just a smoke and mirrors. Like, and that's the issue I have with not just this, but that's what's going on in our country right now in general. And like to tie it to business, if we continue to do this in this area and that area and the next, everything's a facade. Yeah. Your business, you think it's profitable because it's got money in the bank, but you have $48,000 on credit cards. You're actually net negative. But I've got $48,000 in the bank. Not really. Yeah. You owe creditors $48,000. Yeah. And this just continues to happen, and we, I always call it, Chris knows, I call it like pushing money around. The shell game. It's like that's what we're doing right now. We're just putting something under a shell, moving it around, and going, "Can you find it?" Right. And at some point, it is going to come back and cause us great damage. I saw another statistic, David, last night, where we owed China, we owed ourselves. America owed ourselves, I think, $16 trillion. We've been borrowing from ourselves, which as a bonkers idea. And then we owed China. The next one was China. We owed them maybe $2 to $3 trillion, if I remember reading this right, maybe more actually. And then we owed Brazil $250 billion. And we're in such bad place debt wise, and it's like monopoly money. And so I don't know. Can you kind of help share with people how this is going to impact them, like business wise? I mean, because you talk to people who have 20 million, 30 million, 50. I mean, what's your biggest client's top line revenue? If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, biggest client I've ever worked with top line revenue was probably in excess of 100 million. Right. But that's a whale. That's a big one. The average business owner, you're probably talking in that 3 to 20 million in top line rev.
Which is awesome.
So when it comes to what we do, whether you're a business owner or who you are, as an employee or a team member, it's remembering that when it comes to anything pertaining to finances is that you have assets and liabilities. Most people have not been financially educated to understand the difference between an asset and a liability. And so you have a bunch of stuff, or you have a savings account. Like in the day and age we live in, a savings account is technically a liability. I'll explain to you why. If you have an inflation rate that's at 8-9%, and you're making 0.05% on your savings account, you're actually losing money every single month, every single year. You're losing money. So that is technically a liability to some degree. And so when it comes to what we do with this situation, it's figuring out, okay, what can I do as an individual to create assets, right?
Yes.
So assets are not only your businesses, but you're talking about investments, you're talking about real estate. And for a lot of people, you raise this question. It's like, well, I don't have $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million to go out and buy assets. Well, the cool thing is we live in the digital economy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of digital assets?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
That's not one I'm as extremely aware of. Maybe.
So if you think about what a digital asset is something
NFTs
no, I mean, that's a part of it, but this is where people get lost and confused. A digital asset is anything that you have created to some degree that is going to bring money into your life.
Courses and
right?
stuff.
So you've got courses, you've got speaking, you've got training, you've got content creation, you've got the influencer, realm, you've got PDFs, you've got so many different opportunities, and then you get into NFT land and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, is thinking of what can I create? If you can't buy something, what could I create that is of value to other people that can create some form of income stream into my life? And that's where I think a lot of people miss it, because we talk about this student debt crisis. It's been a crisis for years. I think the statistic I read most recently was that the student loan debt is twice of what the credit card debt is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is absurd.
It doesn't the average person have? It's not 50,000. It's in the 20,000 range, right?
I don't know.
But I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. You're talking about $400 to $800 a month payments.
Right.
Like that is a lot of money. I mean, your average car payment's $600 a month now, which is astronomical. If you have a car payment, a student loan payment, and a mortgage, that's called no money. Right.
And it's easy to understand why, to some degree, people are having such a hard time living and just making ends meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that we're not all making decent money. It's that our overhead cost and the liabilities in our life are draining perpetually all of this money out. And so the biggest encouragement I would say is that you really need to take a hard look at, okay, is my income, my work, right? If you're a business owner or you're an employee, is my income the only form of revenue that I have flowing into my life? If it is, you need to change that immediately. You've heard this before, is that, financially successful people, millionaires, decamillionaires, and even beyond, they have multiple streams of income. But multiple streams of income, when I probably have like 8 streams of income, but those aren't all thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Some of them is like, $50 to $100 a month. Some of them is like 10 grand a month, but it's creating lots of different avenues. And you as an individual, you have so many gifts and skills. It just comes down to being willing to submit yourself to the learning process and saying, okay, how do I escalate my financial literacy, my understanding of how money works, so that I can position myself that no matter what the government decides, no matter what the rest of the world does, I've been proactively taking steps to change my financial future.
I loved when, it's actually become not as much, but drop shipping, right? When this is something that takes
so many things.
Dude, drop shipping for
drop
people,
shipping, Amazon FBA, you've got affiliate marketing.
It takes little to no skill. It takes hard work and dedication, right? And
you want to know how I afford my gas every month in my car? I'll tell you really easy.
Do.
Okay. So I went on Amazon, and any single person that watches this, including everybody in this room, can do this. Target, Walmart, Amazon, any of the big name stores, you can go to their site and register as an affiliate.
No.
An affiliate is an outside salesperson. So all that I need to do is I throw up a reel or a post or whatever, and I'm like, hey, you got to check out this book. This book is amazing. And I talk about it. And I post a link. Anyone that clicks and goes to that link, I get a commission. So because I talked about it, right? So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, affiliate, anyone can do this, and you don't have to have a deep understanding of drop shipping, FBA. There's a lot of complexity depending on what you're looking at.
Are you putting a Linktree link, or is it like just on that particular post?
Just on the post in my Linktree, wherever I want. I can go throw it up in a comments section somewhere. Anyone that goes through that link, it's tracked by Amazon. And here's the really cool part too, is sometimes people go to Amazon and they'll buy a book, and then they go look for other stuff, and they buy like $400 worth of stuff. I make a commission on all that stuff they bought too.
Dude, I mean, I've heard about affiliate marketing, and I knew affiliate sales, whatever. I knew how that worked, but I don't think I realized how easy it was.
It's incredibly easy, but the thing is that most people aren't willing to humble themselves to a place of being willing to learn new skills, right? Is that for all of us, for anyone that has achieved any degree of success in your relationships, in your health, in your finances, it came from being willing to humbly recognize I have to learn new things. I have to be willing to always be a student, which is what dovetails so nicely with student loans, is that most people have invested all this money to get a degree, to end up in a job or in a career field that isn't even relevant to their degree. That they don't like, they're dissatisfied with, and many of them are paying off these student loans. And I think at the end of the day, where people have such resistance is that they didn't like the college experience or high school or learning, and so they stop learning, right? I think the statistic I last read was that 90% of Americans don't read a book after they graduate college. Not one book, not all the way through.
Let us know if you've read a book in the last 6 months.
Yeah, have you read a book in the last, like all the way through? I'm not talking you started the first 3 chapters, like, yeah, I've kind of read that book. Like, have you actually read it? And so for me, I consistently average between 3 and 5 books a month. I obsessively read but here's why, Alex.
I'm laughing because it sounds like a lot, but it's not that much if you think about it.
It's not, because it's become a habit.
Yeah.
And the reason it's so important to me is that every single time I pick up a book, I realize how stupid I am. Every time I learn something new, I learn how little I actually know about the world and around. And the cool thing about books in particular, and why you should always maintain this heart of a student, is that thing that you're reading is literally the distillation. Like if you think about distilling, right? We got moonshiners up north of us from the distillation process is pulling the very best essence out of that individual, and they've put it into a book that you can get for $10.
Right.
And you can open that thing up, and if you actually learn from them, they've taken all of the pain, all the struggle, all the challenges, and they put it all in one place. But very few people are willing to say, okay, I'll pick up a book and I'm going to read 20 minutes a day for the next 30 days. And maybe I'll only get through one book. You know what? Right. You are already 99% ahead of just about everyone else that's out there. You want a quick advantage. Stop worrying about student loans and things like that and focus on what does your education look like now for the future. Because if you want to change your financial situation, never have to worry about what the government decides to do around student loans or taxes, you have to create new financial vehicles in the form of assets, which means you have to be willing to learn things. And the only reason I can talk about this stuff now is because 5 years ago, I was a dummy. Like I had no financial literacy. We're still to this day, Alex, we're paying off what Dave Ramsey would call stupid tax from decisions that we made. But now I have a whole new understanding. You know this, I know this, that if we want to go create a new business, like in about a week, it's done. Yeah. We got to go to Secretary of State. We're going to file our LLC.
Technically, it's not hard at all.
It's not hard at all, but it seems hard if you've never done it. It's the same thing as real estate. The first time I bought a rental property, I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm buying a rental property. This is like big wig stuff. And then you do it and you're like, that actually was probably easier than buying my house, you know? And so once you learn these things, you can start to look into these creative outlets to create financial resource through the form of asset accumulation, which if you have $500 a month here and $1,000 a month here and $2,500 a month here and this, before you know it, you replace your income. And then you're in a situation like you and I have talked about. People ask me all the time, like, what do you do, David? I'm like, a lot of stuff, a little bit of a lot, because what I do is just an extension of who I am, and who I am is because I've submitted myself to be a constant student of learning.
That's awesome. I love that. So anyways, guys, wherever you stand on the student loan issue, I think David's made it clear, and we talked about it here today, be a lifelong learner. Yeah. Whether you have a degree or not.
You can't control what you can't control. Yeah. And this is one of those things that you can't go back to the past. No. You know what the government does, but you can control what you do moving forward, and only you can make that decision.
Yep. Amen to that, brother. So guys, this is the Down to Business Podcast. We're wrapping up this episode. Join us next time on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, social media, wherever you find us. We want to interact with you. Send us a message. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day and be blessed.